Today we are going to talk about feudalism system and how the people in the system were affected. In the Middle Ages, a system called feudalism emerged based on the principle thought it was not entirely equitable. The word feudal derives from a Middle English term to hold a lord's land in exchange for service. Feudalism refers to a loosely organized system of government in which the local lords govern their own lands but owe military service and other supports to great lords. A complex system. Everyone had a place in medieval feudal society. At the top of the power structure stood the monarch. Below the monarch were the most powerful lords who might have had titles such as duke or count. They held the largest fiefs. Each of these lords had vassals, and these vassals in turn had their own vassals. In many cases, the same man was both vassal and lord. Below the nobles and the merchants were the knights. Their role was to protect the church, the king, the nobility, and they were basically the military of the kingdoms. Below the knights were the peasants. The peasants provided the kingdoms with food, supplies, shoes, clothes, everything, even to military weapons. Now let's talk about how each social rank got affected by this feudal system. The king was the richest of them all. He could get anything he wanted. He basically lived the life he wanted to live. From vanities to everything. The lords owned land. There were gifts from the monarchy, from the king, and they had servants and serfs work on it so they could provide him with food, clothes, everything he needed. And at the end of the year, he would have to pay taxes to the king for the fiefs, for the lands. And the gifts, the lands were actually an agreement between him and the king for expressing his loyalty to the king. And so every time the king would go to war, the lords would have to fight with him and support the king in all his commands. Below the lords were the knights, which the knights were the military for the kingdoms. A knight would usually fight on a horseback using swords, axes, and lances, which were long poles. They wore armor and carried shields for protection. Other soldiers fought on foot using daggers, spears, crossbows, and longbows. As the fierce fighting of the early Middle Ages leaned in the 1100s, tournaments or mock battles came into fashion. A powerful lord would invite knights from the area to a tournament to enter conquest of fighting skills. At first, tournaments were as dangerous as real battles. In time, they acquired more ceremonies and rituals. The life of a knight was harsh. When he was a boy, they would wake him up really early, train him, and if he showed any sign of laziness, he was punished and even severely beaten. Now, below from everything, from the king, from the lords, from the knights, were the peasants. The peasants had the worst of the worst life. They had men and women and children work long hours from sunup to sundown. During planting season, a man might guide an ox-drawn plow through the fields while his wife walked alongside. Children help in the fields, planting seeds, weeding, and taking care of pigs or sheep. The peasants, the peasant family, most of them have never even eaten meat, and most of them didn't really live a long life. It was cruel to be a peasant because once all your gainings and gains were accumulated, you would have to give about like two-thirds of all of everything you gained that year to the lords, and then the lords would give taxes to the kings. And so yeah, you would only keep 1/3, and mostly you would only have to live with bread and vegetables. So yeah, I just wanted to add that I'm sorry because I was actually really nervous. I don't know why, and hopefully you could actually understand my words. And if you have any problems, please call me. So yeah, and yeah, my hands are really dry.